Chapter 1. Observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Text 1. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Purport. Bhagavad Gita is a widely read theistic science summarized in the Gita Mahatmya, glorification of the Gita. There it says that one should read Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly with the help of a person who is a devotee of Sri Krishna and try to understand it without personally motivated interpretations. The example of clear understanding is there in the Bhagavad Gita itself. In the way the teaching is understood by Arjuna, who heard the Gita directly from the Lord. If someone is fortunate enough to understand Bhagavad Gita in that line of disciplic succession, without motivated interpretation, then he surpasses all studies of Vedic wisdom and all scriptures of the world. One will find in the Bhagavad Gita all that is contained in other scriptures, but the reader will also find things which are not to be found elsewhere. That is the specific standard of the Gita. It is a perfect theistic science because it is directly spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. The topics discussed by Dhritarashtra and Sanjay, as described in the Mahabharat, form the basic principle for this great philosophy. It is understood that this philosophy evolved on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is a sacred place of pilgrimage from the immemorial time of the Vedic age. It was spoken by the Lord when he was present personally on this planet for the guidance of mankind. The word Dharma Kshetra, a place where religious rituals are performed, is significant because, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present on the side of Arjuna. Dhritarashtra, the father of the Kurus, was highly doubtful about the possibility of his son's ultimate victory. In his doubt, he inquired from his secretary Sanjay. What did they do? He was confident that both his sons and the sons of his younger brother Pandu were assembled in that field of Kurukshetra for a determined engagement of the war. Still, his inquiry is significant. He did not want a compromise between the cousins and brothers, and he wanted to be sure of the fate of his sons on the battlefield. Because the battle was arranged to be fought at Kurukshetra, which is mentioned elsewhere in the Vedas as a place of worship, even for the denizens of heaven, Dhritarashtra became very fearful about the influence of the holy place on the outcome of the battle. He knew very well that this would influence Arjuna and the sons of Pandu favorably, because by nature they were all virtuous. Sanjay was a student of Vyasa, and therefore, by the mercy of Vyasa, Sanjay was able to envision the battlefield of Kurukshetra even while he was in the room of Dhritarashtra. And so, Dhritarashtra asked him about the situation on the battlefield. Both the Pandavas and the sons of Dhritarashtra belong to the same family, but Dhritarashtra's mind is disclosed herein. He deliberately claimed only his sons as Kurus, and he separated the sons of Pandu from the family heritage. One can thus understand the specific position of Dhritarashtra in his relationship with his nephews, the sons of Pandu. As in the paddy field the unnecessary plants are taken out, so it is expected from the very beginning of these topics that in the religious field of Kurukshetra, where the father of religion, Sri Krishna, was present, the unwanted plants like Dhritarashtra's son Duryodhan and others would be wiped out, and the thoroughly religious persons, headed by Yudhishthira, would be established by the Lord. This is the significance of the words Dharmanita and Kurunita, apart from their historical and Vedic importance. Text 2. Saja said, O king, after looking over the army gathered by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and began to speak the following words. Purport. Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereft of spiritual vision. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion, and he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with the Pandavas, who were all pious since birth. Still he was doubtful about the influence of the place of pilgrimage, and Sanjay could understand his motive in asking about the situation on the battlefield. He wanted, therefore, to encourage the despondent king. And thus he warned him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of the holy place. Sanjay therefore informed the king that his son, Duryodhan, after seeing the military force of the Pandavas, at once went to the commander-in-chief, Dronacharya, to inform him of the real position. Although Duryodhan is mentioned as the king, he still had to go to the commander on account of the seriousness of the situation. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician. But Duryodhan's diplomatic veneer could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military arrangement of the Pandavas. Text 3. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupda. Purport. Duryodhan, a great diplomat, wanted to point out the defects of Dronacharya, the great Brahmana commander-in-chief. Dronacharya had some political quarrel with King Drupda, the father of Draupadi, who was Arjuna's wife. As a result of this quarrel, Drupda performed a great sacrifice, by which he received the benediction of having a son who would be able to kill Dronacharya. Dronacharya knew this perfectly well, and yet, as a liberal Brahmai, he did not hesitate to impart all his military secrets when the son of Drupda, Drishtadyumna, was entrusted to him for military education. Now, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Drishtadyumna took the side of the Pandavas. And it was he who arranged for their military phalanx, after having learned the art from Dronacharya. Duryodhan pointed out this mistake of Dronacharya's so that he might be alert and uncompromising in the fighting. By this he wanted to point out also that he should not be similarly lenient in battle against the Pandavas, who were also Dronacharya's affectionate students. Arjuna, especially, was his most affectionate and brilliant student. Duryodhan also warned that such leniency in the fight would lead to defeat. Text 4. Here in this army there are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna. There are also great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata and Drupda. Purport. Even though Drishtadyumna was not a very important obstacle in the face of Dronacharya's very great power in the military art, there were many others who were the cause of fear. They are mentioned by Duryodhan as great stumbling blocks on the path of victory because each and every one of them was as formidable as Bhima and Arjuna. He knew the strength of Bhima and Arjuna, and thus he compared the others with them. Text 5. There are also great, heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Kitna, Kasiraja, Purujit, Kuntibhoja and Saibya. Text 6. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamaja, the son of Subhadra and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. Text 7. O best of the Brahmana! For your information, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. Text 8. There are personalities like yourself, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikan and the son of Somdatta called Bhurikrava, who are always victorious in battle. Purport. Duryodhan mentioned the exceptional heroes in the battle, all of whom are ever victorious. Vikarya is the brother of Duryodhan, Akvathama is the son of Dronacharya, and Somdatti, or Bhurikrava, is the son of the king of the Bahlikas. Karya is the half-brother of Arjuna, as he was born of Kunti before her marriage with King Pandu. Kapakarya married the twin sister of Dronacharya. Text 9. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Purport. As far as the others are concerned, like Jayadratha, Kritvarma, Kalya, etc., all are determined to lay down their lives for Duryodhan's sake. In other words, it is already concluded that all of them would die in the battle of Kurukshetra for joining the party of the sinful Duryodhan. Duryodhan was, of course, confident of his victory on account of the above-mentioned combined strength of his friends. Text 10. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhima, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhishma, is limited. Purport. Herein an estimation of comparative strength is made by Duryodhan. He thinks that the strength of his armed forces is immeasurable, being specifically protected by the most experienced general, grandfather Bhima. On the other hand, the forces of the Pandavas are limited, being protected by a less experienced general, Bhishma, who is like a fig in the presence of Bhima. Duryodhan was always envious of Bhima because he knew perfectly well that if he should die at all, he would only be killed by Bhishma. But at the same time, he was confident of his victory on account of the presence of Bhima, who was a far superior general. His conclusion that he would come out of the battle victorious was well ascertained.